to create something in the visual realm, just how dedicated you have to be to organize, to get the funds, to really, you know, get something off the ground. It has to be bootstrapped because there ain't no company that's going to do this for you in Bitcoin. So these people dedicate their time, their energy, their love, and Bitcoin truly is love, to creating something of a passion that truly means the world. And we all know how important this is for Bitcoin. We all know how important Bitcoin is for the world, I should say. So I will get off the stage. It's 4 short films today, 4 short film presentations. We have Stranded, we have Immutable Democracy, we have Dare to Dream, and we also have Bitcoin and Friends. I know all of these guys, and they're freaking incredible, and you're going to love every one of them. Let's hand it now over to Pierre and Tomek. Thank you, guys.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this Adopting Bitcoin evening dedicated to Bitcoin cinema.
We run the initiative called Bitcoin FilmFest, on a mission to foster the growth of Bitcoin cinema via various initiatives, including this one right here. We're thrilled to have you with us today, unfortunately only virtually. Nonetheless, we've been working behind the scenes to bring you a selection of films, talks, and presentations, giving you a nice overview of what's happening in the Bitcoin film industry. We believe you'll find it both educative and entertaining.
And a huge shout out to our friends who put this event together. Tonight on stage you will see great Bitcoiners. Roger, Chris, Javier, Rob, Pedro, Marce, Graham, thank you. And thank you Adopting Bitcoin organizers and each of you in the audience for this film evening ahead of us. Your support means a lot. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, don't forget to visit bitcoinfilmfest.com, and hope to see you in April 20 in Warsaw at the Bitcoin Film Fest 2024. Now, without further ado, let's start with our first film.
As many of you know, Bitcoin mining is making worldwide headlines for its electricity consumption, which exceeds that of Argentina, Norway, and many other developed countries. The computers that run the Bitcoin network, which mine new coins, are very energy intensive, pushing miners to the corners of the world where electricity is cheapest. What are the ripple effects and implications of this industry, which capitalizes on stranded energy sources? And what are the consequences for surrounding communities and the environment? Let me introduce you Stranded, a short documentary released recently by part of a larger project called Dirty Coin, one of the most anticipated Bitcoin films today.
We hope it sparks conversations and thoughts. Enjoy that film. Enjoy presentations and panels following in just 2.5 hours. Thank you for staying with us. Cheers, Bitcoin FilmFest.
Globally, about 755 million people do not have access to electricity. And a large chunk of those people live in Africa.
We started generating electricity here way back in 2013. That's when we started distributing power to the rural communities. We are connecting close to about 1,700 households. A health center, which is a government health center, that serves the population of about 10,000 people around the area. And then we have got also connected about 12 primary schools and 3 secondary schools. Because of this glitch, you have to be
Because there's power. Because I said there's already power.
Or we used to have candles, and they could blow off during the night when you are having some operations and the like, so it wasn't okay. But now with the coming in of electricity, just switch on and everything is okay. We have some lamps that we use for other operations. Also, we use electricity for our refrigeration, where we could keep our drugs. So it has had a lot of impact for us.
When the people of Bondo village received electricity, the lives of people, Bondo village, changed. People were traveling long distances, almost 20 kilometers from Bondo to the main road to have access of electricity.
Hai femu yathu yasintha kwambiri chifukwa poyamba chigayo chinali kutali. Komanso mafiriji timaonera kutali. Mafiriji so abwera ifankhana ya magesi. Komanso zophikira. Komanso anatibweresera mbawula zachitetezo mbawula. Lezi mezi yaso zimakhonza kuseva nkhuni so.
Because of the different challenges in Africa, either whether it's infrastructure, transmission and distribution, you find that these mini-grids are really filling in the gap where the mini-grid is not able to support those communities.
Our microgrid uses water or hydro. So we took advantage of Richenya River to start generating electricity. At the moment, we have got 3 power plants, which are cascading in nature, and we have got a total of about 340 kilowatts installed capacity.
We find stranded energy and make sure that it doesn't go to waste anymore. Currently, there's excess energy, there's stranded energy that is going to waste and nobody's paying for it. What that really means is that we partner with energy developers who have built out some type of renewable energy for a community at a mini-grid site.
If, for example, they're generating 300 kilowatts and they only have 10 kilowatts that's in use, that means they have 290 that's generated, but it's wasted. They have no one to buy it. And so every day it's just being thrown out into the air for no good reason. Then we're able to take that stranded power and give them a path to profitability. What does that mean? So for this power partner that you're working with who has one mini grid working somewhere and you've been able to make it economically viable, they can use the same funds that they're raising to go to another space and be able to set up another mini grid and connect another community.
They use excess energy. So it's like the moment the energy consumption goes up, they reduce, the energy that goes to the Bitcoin computers or servers, if you may like. It's reduced.
There are 3 wins to this. So for gridless, we're able to mine Bitcoin, which of course then makes money for us. For the community, they're able then to get electricity, and then hopefully as we continue partnering with these other mini grids, it's just not electricity, but it becomes more affordable for them.
As these operations are profitable and as they're organically growing and looking for more energy, you become a financing mechanism for new projects.
Because Bitcoin mining is able to monetize stranded energy at its source, the level of innovation that we will see in the years to come, we haven't even scratched the surface.
The Bitcoin mining process is a computationally complex process that requires tremendous amounts of energy, and we've found one of the best ways to do that is to find sources of stranded energy like waste methane from the oil field that we can repurpose and would have otherwise been wasted, and we can repurpose to help validate and secure the Bitcoin network.
What Bitcoin mining does for oil and gas industry is you can bring the consumer, who's just a person using Bitcoin, right to the energy source.
Those big torches and flames on an oil well are about 91% efficient. 9% of that methane is escaping into the environment uncombusted. And methane as a greenhouse gas is over 25 times worse for the environment. And so what we do is we're able to combust that methane to about 99.9% in our engines, which creates about a 60% net reduction in CO2 emissions even after we're running our generators on these locations.
It is an environmental benefit to have those kinds of opportunities brought to an oil and gas well that has not yet been connected to a pipeline.
Landfills are a source of stranded methane and stranded power, but they're also an incredible pollutant.
There's trash being collected everywhere, goes to the landfill, gets dumped off. All that trash decomposes over time. That decomposition process creates methane gas, and that landfill gas can actually combust. You collect it, throw it into an engine after we kind of clean it, compress it, dry it, then you can throw it into a transformer and into a data center where we use it for compute.
So many waste of energy everywhere. It's crazy. We can feed 10 Bitcoin networks in the world, maybe 15, with all the waste energy everywhere.
If we can reduce how much energy is wasted on the grid by connecting with players in the mining industry who are able to consume and absorb unused energy from power grids, I think this is going to be better for our future. And it really doesn't require changing a whole lot of what we have right now. It's just better placing of like our resources for supply and demand.
Many countries have a ton of excess energy, but it's important also to, while you reinvest that excess energy into Bitcoin mining, you are also reinvesting in sustainable energy production.
We're building substations, we're building power lines, we're bringing infrastructure in that can benefit entire communities. We actually just expanded a facility in Georgia and built a substation that not just we will use, but the city is also going to use the other half of that. And they were able to secure the funds to build that substation because we came in and we were willing to buy the power.
There are three key ingredients for Bitcoin mining: electricity, a reliable internet connection, and a computer. But for miners, cost of energy is by far and away the biggest overhead. It's common to see in the headlines and Ripple-sponsored Greenpeace campaigns that Bitcoin consumes a ton of power. Bitcoin mining is demonized in the press. It consumes more energy than entire countries such as the Netherlands, Greece, even Argentina. In 2021, China joined a number of other countries that banned Bitcoin mining. Why? The chief reason is energy use. Just one container can consume as much electricity as 750 modern American houses. Today, Bitcoin mining has grown into a multi-billion-dollar industry. Vast businesses, even publicly listed companies, are mining Bitcoin, in turn consuming huge amounts of electricity, a quality of every other large industry in the world. But the energy-guzzling Bitcoin miners that make up the main layer of the industry could be an opportunity to assemble and build out power generation at sites where energy is untapped, wasted, or stranded.
That's where Bitcoin really fills a gap and creates an opportunity to source electricity from the most consumer-friendly, the cheapest fuel, and then utilize it in the most efficient ways. It makes our ever-growing demands for energy less expensive and more sustainable over time.
Bitcoin mining is the most beautiful, inviting, and equal opportunity venture capital firm for energy entrepreneurs we've ever seen. And you need no one's permission to innovate.
Anybody can buy into a Bitcoin miner. Anyone can mine Bitcoin. There's no regulation on, oh, I'm sorry, you know, you haven't inherited a house from your father. You can't be part of this society. Bitcoin just doesn't care.
There's no greater incentive to come up with the most efficient energy source than to run your mining operation.
And these innovations that are being driven in this industry are all being funded by the industry. We are not relying on government subsidies to drive this kind of innovation.
We can start interacting more appropriately with renewable power sources, with more remote power sources. We can start integrating remote communities with self-sustaining power sources.
If we intend to reverse the course of the 20th century industrialization, of pollution, of corruption, we needed an elegant solution, and I think Bitcoin mining is a very elegant solution.
One way you can think about Bitcoin is energy money. Through mining, energy goes in to producing more Bitcoin and driving the security of the Bitcoin blockchain. Since mining requires energy, that is the medium that takes energy and transforms it into Bitcoin.
Bitcoin is a decentralized ledger that allows us to account for permissionless transactions from one person to another without an intermediary or middleman taking a cut or allowing the transaction to happen.
The ability to be able to send information, money, over the internet, digitally, information, without a trusted third party, without an intermediary that can censor that, stop it, block it, or prevent it, is revolutionary.
And so Bitcoin is I think, an equalizer, a common denominator for people to be able to transact freely, to have independence from their own country in a way that can preserve their money, their wealth.
I personally believe that Bitcoin is something much bigger than just a digital asset. It's actually something that can change humanity and that can have a tremendous impact on our current society.
For many people around the world who are not even banked, they don't exist, they don't show up on the financial world system, Bitcoin is the only way they can buy and sell goods. It's the only way they can move around and be able to have some sort of financial freedom.
It's a really, really powerful moment because we're sort of making this shift into being a core component of the future of money and the future of energy.
Five, six, eight.
Hi everyone, good night.
My name is Chris Lara, and I will introduce the project of a story about adoption. Basically, this project is, I'm super happy because here's the people that is appearing in the first episodes, basically the people who is developing Bitcoin in Mexico, Bitcoin in Yucatan. And I will explain you, I will put a video that it will show basically what I'm thinking, how I'm seeing Bitcoin. And the main topic that I think everyone thinks about Bitcoin is freedom. So let's watch this trailer. And
¿Cómo se usa esto? ¿Qué es esto?
Es una máquina de...
¿Y cómo se usa? ¿Era para cobrar? ¿Y ya no se usa? ¿Y la sabe usar usted?
Well, basically, A Story About Adoption is a documentary series. The main goal is to teach what is Bitcoin through solving real problems, because I'm living in Mexico and I'm Mexican, and I'm married with a Russian girl, and basically we faced what it means to be disconnected with the banking system and all the freedom that we are habituated to have. And I think Bitcoin is the key to solve real problems. Also, we will show this knowledge in a way that engages with the people. What this means exactly is like everyone have a different background, a different situation. I think the way everyone is facing their economic situation is different. So it's not the same way to explain how it works Bitcoin, about the blocks and everything. For each one, it will solve a different stuff. But we need to talk in the way how they will understand. So I'm an advertising mind. I'm doing advertising. So my main thing is to make synthesis of abstract concepts into short message that the people will face and understand. And the main thing here is like how we help with Bitcoin education. That is the main stuff. I think the most valuable stuff that Bitcoin teach me is how we are seeing our time. Right now, thank you for all the people that is here, really. But if we are putting value to this time that you are using here in monetary terms, you are investing, or maybe you are tired or something, but at the very end, you are putting your time. And right now, this time is going to end. You are going to die someday, but we need to be aware how we are using our time. And the main education we need to teach about financial education is like, what are you doing with your time and how you are storing this time? This, in the economic terms, and this is what we need to show in a simple terms for all the people, is in what and how you are going to store your time, because you need to put all your energy into something that is not going to do the same like fiat, you know? So basically, if we are achieving this with this documentary series, we are in the other side, you know? Right now, we are going to watch another video. It's the trailer that actually, the third episode, sorry, filmmaking is like this. You are recording some stuff not in the way you want and in the time you want. But this episode is about the circular economy in Yucatan and the amazing project they are doing over there. So let's watch it.
Una preguntita. ¿Usted ha pensado en mandar la miel a otras partes del mundo?
Me gustaría, porque la verdad, esta miel es miel que da muy poquita a las abejitas y esta miel medicinal. Me gustaría también que llegaran a saber, a probar de mi miel hasta en lugares lejanos. Yo creo que con esto que ustedes están haciendo, creo que nosotros nos van a ver hasta allá muy lejos y así van conociendo las propiedades de la miel de melipona y gracias a eso estamos conociendo varias personas.
And well, we are running out of time. So, well, please take a picture of this and watch the video in night when you are resting, please. It's a full episode. It's the proof of work of the people from Bitcoin Yucatan and the first episode of the series. Also, if you want to contact us, you can follow us at DJCN, is my X, and Bitcoin in Mexico on YouTube and also on X. And thanks to Geyser Fund, we won some Geyser Fund there to start the project, and to Viva Bitcoin, who sponsored the first episode. And that's it. Thank you, everyone.
The first participant chooses the knife. He says the most important thing is to protect yourself. The second participant picks the sweater. She says it's important to stay warm, and why not look good while doing it? The last participant picks the bottle. They say they don't even drink vodka, but the knife and the sweater were already taken. What they didn't know in this experiment was the question. Because what something actually is and how we see it in our minds are never really the same thing. What if what we think of as language is just a sliver of what it really is? And what we think is the internet is really just what we're using it for. And what if what they actually are? Well, do we even know the question? Can we separate our day-to-day uses of the internet from what it truly is and what it's becoming? Does the newest tool of language, the internet, actually empower the individual, or does it strengthen the powers that would oppress us? Are we even asking the right question?
That is how 그런 것이라고 that's what I hope we can get with
it. Well, I used to be a lot more optimistic.
Sorry, 1 second here. I don't have audio. Sorry. Nope.
If you had 24 hours with me and I couldn't. Let's say no. What would we do?
No. Okay. Try HDMI. Does this work?
No, it's okay.
If you had 24 hours with
Okay, perfect. Always technical stuff. My name is Julian Figueroa. I run a YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter page called Kinetic Finance. I went to film school. I've made a lot of short films and some features and stuff, but I really got interested in the filmmaking perspective of, I guess, just internet content. So I do a lot of YouTube stuff, and I'm constantly experimenting with different ways to get Bitcoin out to the masses. I think one of the best ways to do it is through comedy. So I'm going to share two very different types of things that I make, and hopefully it inspires you to think of different ways we can share Bitcoin with people. Maybe it's a little too weird for people, but who cares? I'm having fun with it. A TikTok first, and then I will share with you a more serious but still funny documentary I made.
If you had 24 hours with me and I couldn't say no, what would we do?
Okay, so first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna read this book front to back. It's gonna take you about 10 hours or so, and then you're gonna read the Bitcoin white paper. It's a little technical, but it's only really about 9 pages. And then you're gonna call up your bank, sell all your stupid stocks and bonds, and get some cash ready. You're gonna order one of these devices with express delivery, and then you're gonna go watch this guy's tutorials from front to back. And once you're done writing down 24 words, you're gonna go to your kitchen pantry, dump out all your seed oils down the drain, replace it with beef tallow or something that's not gonna kill you from the inside. And then you're gonna purchase some Bitcoin with one of these services, take it into self-custody immediately, and then you're gonna go book a flight to El Salvador, load up some podcasts, listen to it on the flight there. Once you arrive, Max and Stacy are gonna pick you up in a van, and then you're finally going to... FBI, open up!
If you had 24 hours...
All right. This one is about Bitcoin boilers.
What if I told you that every building that you've ever been to might one day be heated by Bitcoin mining?
Okay, so this video is not really about Bitcoin mining. It's about mining heat.
I will not hesitate.
What do we got?
Bye-bye. Heat.
No, not the 1995 Al Pacino movie, although that one's pretty good.
The Bitcoin protocol is essentially protected via thermodynamics. You are putting a tremendous amount of energy that is converted directly into security in cyberspace. But in the real world, it's just making a tremendous amount of heat. And that's where our business model comes in.
The heat you take for granted today is the product of years of engineering, from cavemen smashing rocks to fireplaces, baseboards, and thermostats with more RAM than an iPhone 3. But heating a home works much differently in scale than heating an apartment building, a factory, or a school. The demand for heat of that magnitude requires big industrial heaters or boilers, close-ended vessels that can provide both heat from an energy source or exchange heat from one medium to another. These can be complex and high bandwidth machines, and they aren't always purchased outright, but leased on a contract basis by district energy companies to deliver a set amount of heat over a specific duration for a relatively fixed cost. All right, so where does Bitcoin mining, Colin and his company Mint Green fit into all of this?
The difference really comes into economics. To run an electric boiler, let's say, it's very low carbon, but you're just basically burning electrons and there's no sort of ability to turn that into anything useful. With Bitcoin mining, you are essentially burning electrons for the purpose of defending the Bitcoin network and earning Bitcoin as yield on that, as well as harnessing that entropy to have an additional purpose. So the energy really gets used twice in our application.
Mint Green designs and builds electrical boilers and heat recovery systems, all powered by clean energy and Bitcoin miners. And quick pause, if you don't know what Bitcoin mining is or how it works, go check out the video in the top right corner that's going to pop up now. But can Bitcoin miners really provide that much heat? I had to check that one for myself. Yes, believe it or not, the same baby-killing, atmosphere-intoxicating, and ocean-boiling machine known as a Bitcoin miner, how dare you, creates essentially the same amount of heat per watt as a standard electric radiator. In fact, since making this video, I've actually started to use a Bitcoin miner to heat my own office, as it uses the same amount of electricity as my baseboard heater, but pays me around $25 of Bitcoin per month to run it. The challenge is Bitcoin miners are extremely loud, spatially inefficient, and in an unaltered form can't offer all the features or form factor as a traditional boiler. Colin's company Mint Green has apparently solved this challenge, and to prove it, they're flying me out to Vancouver Island so I can see it run in action with my own eyes.
All right, it's 5:30 in the morning and we are going up to take a plane to Campbell River to see the installation of one of Mint Green's first ever working machines. Say hi, Moku. Where'd she go? Camera shy.
All right, what's the first stop? We're going to the Ideal Cafe, which is a quintessential greasy spoon out here in Campbell River. All right, the most advanced Bitcoin heater in the world, tumbler, mini digital boiler. Let's go.
This is Mint Green's digital boiler. It's made up of dozens of hashing boards running inside of a rotating liquid immersed cylinder engineered for maximum spatial efficiency, heat capture, and heat output. Its installation here replaces a standard air heating system, expediting the dry aging process for hundreds of barrels of whiskey in a remote private distillery in Campbell River. But hold on a minute. All this Bitcoin mining, it's a waste of energy, right? I mean, studies have shown that the Bitcoin network uses as much electricity as small countries. Elon Musk stopped accepting Bitcoin over ecological concerns. And Elizabeth Warren hates it, so it's gotta be evil, right?
Energy use has never had to be defended. Like if you are watching videos on your computer, if you are playing video games, if you are lighting your Christmas tree, I think Bitcoin is the only use of energy that's ever had to articulate why that use is appropriate. Use of energy is essentially how, maybe from a science fiction level, but we look at the advancement of societies in general. So like the Kardashev scale looks at how much energy is consumed by society, and that's an assessment of how advanced it is. We're always going to consume more energy. That's just a sign of the progress of the species in general. So we never want to move backwards on that, but we can always do it better. And I think that's what we're doing. And I think that's what the space is doing in general, better than most industries.
Many countries in Europe took center stage in the news last year for having astronomical electric and gas prices, making heating through the winter prohibitively expensive and forcing a few districts to move back to burning coal for the first time in decades. But in places like Canada, for the first time, thanks to a robust renewable energy grid, it's actually becoming cheaper on a long-term basis to heat using electricity versus traditional fuel sources like oil or natural gas.
The cost is usually prohibitively expensive to use electricity. If we can offset some of their costs through our other revenue streams with Bitcoin mining, we can incentivize the electrification and decarbonization of their line. So in the case of Lonsdale Energy Corp, we are basically supplanting the incumbent, which would be natural gas, to the tune of 1,900 tons of CO2 per megawatt per year being prevented from going to the atmosphere.
I thought Bitcoin was bad for the environment.
I know, this is a major narrative violation.
In theory, Bitcoin mining could eventually become one of the most cost-effective ways to provide heat from electricity. And the savings from being able to generate two products from one electricity source could greatly reduce the demand for fossil fuel-based heating in many regions around the world. So whether you're a Bitcoin evangelist and pray to the altar of Satoshi, or your uncle is Peter Schiff and your aunt is Elizabeth Warren, none of it matters, because on a purely economic basis, Bitcoin heating just makes sense. It's the best 2-for-1 deal since your local pizza parlor, and unlike pizza, you don't have to feel guilty about it.
Understanding Bitcoin is such a small part of understanding Bitcoin. You need to understand Bitcoin's interface with the real world, and that's where all the learning and understanding comes from. It incentivizes improvements to the grid. You're seeing a lot of that in West Texas right now. It also takes something with massive moral hazard out of the hands of people, such as managing money supply. It is obviously digital, but its backing is through infrastructure and through proof of work, which makes it somewhat incorruptible. It's a machine that makes small truths every 10 minutes. And that alone is so profound that it kind of sucks the rest of the world around it.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
The Democratic Republic of Guatemala has spoken. The election process is complete, and the elected authorities stand officially announced.
Reafirmamos como inalienables los derechos de los ciudadanos expresados en las urnas.
El Tribunal Supremo Electoral acredita al ciudadano César Bernardo Arévalo de León como presidente electo de la República de Guatemala, Karin Larisa Herrera Aguilar como vicepresidente electa de la República de Guatemala,
Yet, even as the ink dries on the official announcement, the very pillars of democracy are being shaken. This, right here, is an unidentified agent from the public prosecutor's office, aggressively and illegally seizing a box full of election documents, known locally as document number 4. This is Magistrate Blanca Alfaro from the Supreme Elections Tribunal, trying to physically protect what's rightfully under their institution's custody. In a world riddled with displays of power abuse and corruption, this is but one stark example. Yet, hope is not lost. It so happens that we might already possess the means to fix this. Every 4 years, sacred places emerge in Guatemala. Here, in this hallowed space, democracy takes the stage, and choices carve out the future.
No es un secreto el que siempre digan de que se hace trampa y todo esto, ¿verdad? Entonces sí me motivó como que estar bien del otro lado, sabiendo que las cosas pues sí realmente se hacen de la manera correcta.
Y esta actividad la hemos realizado ya año con año en lo que es en las elecciones, y para nosotros es un placer pues servir a nuestra nación.
A mí lo que me está motivando a apoyar en estas elecciones es poder aportar un poco a Guatemala, ¿verdad? Poder ver cómo es el proceso y que este sea transparente.
Yo quiero que verdaderamente Guatemala mejore.
Porque muchas personas solo criticamos y decimos, no, el gobierno no hace nada, pero nosotros somos los que elegimos.
At the heart of democracy, a table stands, simple yet powerful. But before it takes its revered position on Election Day, a ritual of meticulous organization unfolds. 3 pillars come together in this ceremonial preparation. The Supreme Elections Tribunal, a referee. Political organizations, the competing voices. And civilian volunteers, the custodians for a peaceful transition of power. Temporary civic structures emerge. District election boards and municipal elections boards. They are entrusted with the responsibility to safeguard and summarize what each table will birth, the voting results enshrined in their document number 4. Hundreds of thousands of individuals are mobilized, colloquially referred to as the Citizen Army. The stage is set, and as the day unfolds, each table transforms into a pivotal node, capturing the nation's choice with reverence and purpose. Come Election Day, the table stands prepared. Revered spaces where volunteer citizens, designated and sworn in by law as the vote reception board, are poised to embrace their neighbors' ballots. As the day concludes, document number 4 emanates from each table, accompanied by its 2 triplicates, a tangible testament to democracy, meticulously crafted under vigilant eyes. These hundreds of thousands of papers collectively capture the final count and consensus of the people, forming the very soul of Guatemalan democracy.
Encontrarnos en el Centro de Operaciones del Proceso Electoral. Tenemos un gran equipo de trabajo que ya está preparando un kit que contiene algunos materiales e insumos electorales que se van a colocar dentro de la caja que se va a enviar a cada junta receptora de votos. Tenemos que preparar 24.585 cajas de estas que no solamente llevan estos insumos, sino que también va a contener las papeletas electorales, el padrón electoral y todas las actas que suscriben las mesas receptoras de votos, hasta la del escrutinio, ¿verdad? Donde constan los resultados finales en la mesa.
En esta caja vienen todos los insumos, viene el acta inicial, así como el acta de cierre, que es este número 4, con todas las cosas que necesitamos. Acá está el acta ahorita y la sacamos ya a las 6 de la tarde cuando empezamos a hacer todo el conteo de votos.
Volunteers, ordinary citizens gather, performing the ritual of counting, validating, ensuring that every voice is heard.
Votantes, 117 y acá vamos a llenar esto.
In the tangible realm, paper stands as a testament to the collective will. Solid, real, palpable.
Ahí se condensa el resultado final por mesa. Eso es lo que hace el documento 4. Eso es lo que no entiende mucha gente, muchos políticos y aún la gente normal. Nosotros que estamos metidos acá, pues lo sabemos. La elección la hace el ciudadano. Desde el momento en que el tribunal le entrega, o sea, nombra a las juntas departamentales y a las juntas municipales. Entonces ellos se convierten en las autoridades electorales y ellos nombran a las juntas receptoras de votos, que son ciudadanos comunes y corrientes. Entonces, si yo como ciudadano común y corriente estoy participando en una mesa y gana determinado candidato, no pueden decir que no, porque los 5 o los 4 que están conmigo y los fiscales que estuvieron en esa mesa, todos ven el resultado.
Though born twins, the white and yellow copies embark on distinct journeys.
Ellos se quedan con este documento en original. Este documento en original se lo trasladan a la Junta Electoral Municipal, que son ciudadanos también. Ellos son los encargados de hacer el total por cada municipio. A su vez, esos totales se los trasladan a una Junta Electoral Departamental, quienes son los encargados de totalizar todos los resultados a nivel departamental y a nivel nacional. Cuando ellos finalizan de hacer la totalización de todos los resultados oficiales, lo entregan al Tribunal Supremo Electoral y esos son los resultados oficiales.
The yellow, gobbled by the scanner, sets forth on its digital voyage. Outside of our physical realm, the scanned image and the typed data merge in the digital domain.
Es importante aclarar que el día de las elecciones la copia amarilla sirve para dar una tendencia, pero no son los resultados oficiales.
Hay que recordar que el TREP es para la ciudadanía, es para los guatemaltecos que votaron y que están interesados en ver cómo va la elección. Ese es el objetivo del TREP.
De ahí proviene el nombre del programa informático de transmisión de resultados electorales y la palabra clave es preliminares.
La mesa de votación tiene gente que suma los votos, que llena las actas, cuenta los votos y llena las actas a mano, ¿sale? Cuando terminan de llenar esas actas, se van con el digitador de ese centro de votación, que es ella. En ese momento ella dice, ya me cayeron todas las actas de esa mesa. Las mete todas, las 5 las mete, o una si le dieron lo que le hayan dado, las mete al escáner.
Este es el sistema que estamos utilizando y acá tenemos la opción de digitalizar. Entonces acá las ponemos en el escáner que cada uno tiene, es personal. Ahí te está procesando la imagen.
Cuando cuadra, entonces envíen. Aquí. Y de ahí me voy a verificación para ver las de mis compañeras también. Es otro proceso.
Todas las va a capturar ella, todas, la primera vez. Después de que la capture y le dan el botón verde para enviar, le va a caer a otra persona del municipio, pero no en ese centro de votación. Y se hace la segunda captura. Si coincide, se publica en ese instante en internet.
But this fusion can sometimes obscure clarity, casting lingering shadows of doubt and uncertainty.
Leen la pantalla. En el camino pasa por la computadora y ahí hay programas que alteran los resultados.
Tengo información fidedigna que hay 5 hackers. En tan solo 14 segundos cambiaron los datos y las cifras. No se respetó el voto de los guatemaltecos.
When crossing the threshold into the vast and mysterious digital universe, things can get a bit unpredictable. Yet imagine a filter, a groundbreaking solution that could distill pure signal from digital noise.
The reason why Bitcoin is useful for an election is similar to the reason why Bitcoin is useful for money. We're using it for one purpose here, using it for a different purpose when we send money around. But the important thing is that because all of these communities have one common goal, which is the truth, we can all use the same system that is good at helping people come to the truth.
Hoy por hoy podemos resolver el problema que tiene el modelo original, que ha caído en irse centralizando de nuevo. Lo podemos volver a descentralizar con tecnología, pero solo hay una tecnología que lo puede lograr y es el blockchain.
El programa informático está habilitado para poder iniciar las actividades desde los centros de votación. Se ha generado un documento para poder registrarlo en el servicio de copia inalterable, el cual fue adquirido para esta finalidad.
What a timestamp really does is it proves data exists in the past. And someone went and decided to go use token timestamps to go timestamp documents on this election, and they called me in just to go be a second set of eyes and make sure it all works. You know, I was just sitting here making sure everything works, and so far so good.
En cuanto se escanea un acta y se digitaliza, se le saca el hash, nosotros le decimos la huella digital, entonces ese hash se manda a guardar usando un protocolo que se llama Open Timestamps. Ese protocolo sirve para mandar a guardar los hashes hacia el blockchain de Bitcoin.
Esta plataforma, digamos, es un puente que comunica el TREP y donde hace un respaldo no solo de la imagen, sino que tiene una API que gestiona y hace un cálculo, digamos, del hash, de la huella digital del documento, y lo manda a guardar a la cadena de bloqueo.
For technical reasons, Bitcoin is by far the easiest and simplest ways to do this. You know, that's a Bitcoin transaction that's waiting to get mined, and these are all the transactions that have been mined before. The election document's way at the bottom of this tree of trees, and eventually proved through a whole bunch of mathematical operations that all this led to a Bitcoin block.
El tema del papel de las elecciones es considerado un patrimonio nacional. Claro, eso no está, digamos, regulado en una ley, pero la ciudadanía sí lo ve. ¿Por qué? Porque es la misma ciudadanía que llena estos documentos.
The only acceptable election solution is something where anyone can verify. Anyone could be a part of that process.
Y entonces creo que eso es algo que podemos mantener, pero implementando nuevas tecnologías lo podemos hacer más ágil y eficiente.
And the beauty of paper is, you know, to make it integrity, you just need a whole lot of eyes from a whole bunch of observers.
Entonces en el TREP, aquí podemos ver, digamos, cuántas actas han sido procesadas dentro del TREP, la participación ciudadana y todo eso, ¿verdad? Este es el acta, literalmente el acta que está en el TREP, pero yo quiero verificar. Entonces aquí está el botón de verificar hash. Al dar clic en el botón de verificar hash, lo lleva a la página de Simple Proof, el respaldo inalterable, donde podemos ver el momento que Simple Proof recibió el documento, el hash o huella, ¿verdad? El estado, ya está registrado en blockchain, el bloque en el que se registró, el bloque de blockchain, fecha y hora de confirmación adentro del blockchain, y yo puedo descargar también los documentos. Entonces este es el acta que yo bajé del respaldo inalterable, ¿verdad? Esta es la que se usó para registrar en el blockchain, pero yo puedo venir y comparar con la que está en el sistema y resulta que es la misma, ¿verdad? Pues en este caso coinciden, ¿verdad? Y eso es lo que estamos tratando de darle esa como certeza.
Tenemos que ir encontrando cómo utilizarla para poder devolverle el poder a las juntas departamentales, a las juntas municipales.
Le veo, digamos, futuro a la implementación del blockchain. Podemos utilizarlo para diferentes tipos de transacciones o para respaldo, digamos, de documentos públicos, ¿verdad?
Entonces ese modelo es el que hay que salvar. Ese es el modelo que hay que salvar.
For Guatemalans, the narrative is still unfolding. With inalterable evidence in hand, there's hope that their democracy will stand resilient against institutional corruption. Meanwhile, a pressing question dawns. Who will be the next country to embrace the path towards an immutable democracy?
Hello.
Hi, my name is Marce, and I have the honor to talk to Javier Borrallo today, who is the director of this amazing documentary that we just saw. Hi, Javier, how are you?
Thank you. All good.
Great. So Javier did a super interesting documentary, and this is like the first time in history that we see a electoral process go and try to be more transparent and use Bitcoin to push that transparency, which is like history in the making. I mean, we're in Bitcoin country, and Bitcoin is legal tender. That's history. But using Bitcoin to make things as pure as possible when it comes to choosing who runs your country, that's 100% transparency. So Javier, this is pretty cool. Thank you. Thank you for documenting this. But the thing is that, I don't know if all of you are aware of this, but in Guatemala right now, there's a small conflict well, small. There's a huge conflict because they're declaring these elections illegal. So there's full-on transparency, never seen before, but somehow these elections are illegal? Can you please tell us why?
It's the institutional corruption. That's what it's called. Yeah, we have a very similar electoral process that El Salvador. And the only reason that we are at this to lose our democracy is institutional corruption. That's basically it.
So, it's really hard for me to put this into pieces because you're telling me that the electoral process, so the, how would you say this in English? Well, the institution that is in charge of organizing the electoral process decided to do something to make it cleaner. And then when it did not go their way, they were okay with saying, we don't know what happened, and the central government can say, this is not okay. We don't like the answer, so we're just going to change it.
Yeah. So there was a group of parties that are the official party, which is a corrupt party, you know, a corrupt group of parties that are looking to have the power in the state. And our electoral process, or our elections process, is very beautiful, pure, well-designed. So it works. The election process works. What it doesn't work is the institutions and the state. Like the government right now in power is looking to perpetuate power and become a dictatorship of the bad kind. And they are using this election power to, they eliminated parties before the election event happened. But they did not see this party that they didn't really like. And it won, you know. So the party that won is there after the election process, so they cannot stop the election process. So right now they're using all sorts of corrupt instruments to delegitimate the process. But it so happens that we have Bitcoin that has a backup of all the election documents. And so we cannot fight against that. It's immutable proof that the party that won.
And why are the citizens of Guatemala not using this information to just kick them out? Is it possible?
That's why the documentary exists, you know. We have a tradition of miseducation with the election process. And so this documentary, as you've seen, it puts in evidence the Bitcoin implementation to back up these election documents. But it also educates. It has the purpose of educating of our elections process, which is very similar to El Salvador, by the way, and many countries in Latin America.
When you say it's similar to El Salvador, is it possible for President Bukele to start using this for the next election? Like, that's coming up, and that would really make it, like, see if what Bukele has been doing actually means something.
Absolutely. You know, the institution that runs the elections is called Tribunal Supremo Electoral. In El Salvador, it happens to be Tribunal Supremo Electoral, which is based on Guatemala's model.
Well, seems like we're running out of time, but thank you for doing this, and we'll see in a few months, and let's keep pushing this documentary because seems like Guatemala needs some Bitcoin.
Absolutely.